In a world where everyone is looking for your money up front, doesn't it just make sense to check out a podcast that's looking to give you something for free? Like the music for your content and free music for your film and videos? Look no further. It's the Tim Kulig Free Music Podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tim Kulig Free Music Podcast, and I'm your host, Tim Kulig. This is the 22nd episode of Tim Kulig Free Music Podcast. It's been a little thin this first quarter of 2024, but I've been very busy coming up with new ideas, very busy coming up with a 3-year schedule that's extremely aggressive for composing, and also kind of getting my ducks in order too, so far as my website, marketing, and advertising, to make sure that content creators such as yourselves have access to all of my tunes and know what things are coming about in all things Tim Kulig Free Music. That being said, I just wanted to put it on your radar quick here in this episode that I will be engaging Frequency Music and registering all of my tracks with YouTube Content ID. Now, why do I want to do that? Well, first and foremost, I'm doing it to protect you, the content creator out there. I want to make sure that only one person out there can register my things, and it's me. And what's been happening with some friends of mine and some other composers out there is literally mayhem. People taking and doing rehashes or compilations or just different versions of things that are the same song basically, and calling them something else and putting them out there, and then suddenly they get a content ID violation. Basically what that is a copyright violation on YouTube because they're using a song that somebody else registered, and now they can't. Now their video is getting demonetized. Well, I'm here to tell you that I'm going to let everybody know that is using my music what's going on, and to tell you that by doing this, it won't allow anybody else to do that, and you won't have a channel that, 3 years from now or 3 months from now, somebody comes along and has a copyright claim on it, and you've been using my music, and you've been giving me, you've been using my music, and maybe you haven't given me attribution. Maybe you haven't put that in the show notes, that kind of thing. That's all it's going to take, okay? And for the folks out there that I know have been regularly using my music, there's a process and a path to whitelisting your channels. So what that basically means is that I'll actually let the company that I'm engaging on this know that you're cool. You're people that give me attribution. There may be 1 or 2 videos out there that maybe you forgot, but I know your content. I enjoy your content. I enjoy the fact that you enjoy my music and you engage it in your content. So that's going to be something that is going to roll out. So timelines here. So this is going to go live tentatively 6/30, 2024. So I'm going to do that for third and fourth quarter. So there's going to be a bunch of social media ramp up explaining what the process is, but it's basically the same stuff, guys. It's really just all about in YouTube. Now remember, this is specifically YouTube. So it's just in YouTube. You just got to give me attribution in the description of the video. That's it. And like I said, most of you folks out there do this already. This is really for the folks that either forgot, or more than likely it's for creators that are a little lazy and they don't include certain information when they upload their videos. And I'm not entirely sure why you wouldn't want to do that. I mean, especially if you're using copyrighted material or potentially copyrighted material, you want to make sure that you dot all your I's and cross all your T's. But again, it's a learning process for everybody, and there's people at various stages of content creation on the internet, and honestly, it's just part and parcel for what I have to do. The catalog's getting big enough now, and I'm getting some traction now that I'm concerned. I'm concerned that anybody that's been using it so far, I don't want any of your content to be compromised. So I'm doing this as a protection for that. I'm doing this as a protection for my catalog, and ultimately it's another revenue stream for me as well, because I mean, hey, I give it away for free, you know. What actually happens then if you have a content ID flag on YouTube? Well, YouTube basically just says, hey, it looks like you're using some copyrighted material in here, and either you haven't given attribution or what have you. So if you don't act, basically that video itself will become demonetized. And if you're a monetized channel, then that's a problem. I mean, that's part of your income. So the simple solution for that, you amend the title or the description of the video to include the attribution that was missing, and it goes away. It completely goes away. And if for some reason you did it on a bunch of videos, then I would just have to take a look at it and say, oh, okay, no problem. And then I would just add you to a list and whitelist you on YouTube, and you'll be all set. But then going forward, you have to make sure that you put the attribution in there. That's all. But there'll be more coming out about this in the coming weeks. Just some more videos, some shorts, and just explaining the process, and just explaining that it's inevitable and it's coming. But I just wanted to give some of my folks out there a heads up and let them know that, hey, this is coming. And as long as you're doing attribution like I asked you for on my website, timkulig.com, you're fine. You're fine. So for those people, this is a misnomer. This is a no-brainer. This is nothing. This is something you can just pass along and just whatever. It doesn't matter. So take it for what it's worth. Ultimately, again, it's about protecting the content creators and protecting the catalog and helping it grow as a brand. I mean, I'm going to be rolling out some marketing in the next few months. I'm going to be working on several new albums between now and June 30th. And I'm really excited about it. I've seen that there's some of my content, or some of my music rather, has been doing very well on Instagram, Facebook, specifically some tracks from the comedy album, Mousy McMouskowitz. That one's gotten hundreds of thousands of spins on Facebook, Instagram. So that particular track has resonated. Some of the other comedy ones have resonated. The short form Nightmares was a huge success. There's 4 or 5 tracks on there that are regularly used on Instagram, Facebook, and also TikTok. So I'm going to look into doing some additional short form music. And what does that mean? What does short form mean? So for me, it's kind of like short form content. It's short form music. It's music that doesn't evolve very much. It's usually 2 minutes or less. And I know that's kind of like a thing now. Like, musical artists don't write super long songs in some cases anymore. But this is specific to content creators. I'm trying to create batches of things that literally just have a theme that doesn't evolve very much and just kind of plays around in and around that theme without a lot of big intro and outro or anything like that. Just something you just pop down in there and lay it into your work and just make it work. So that's coming. I've got a harp album coming. Never done one of those before. That's kind of cool. So that's coming. I have on May 10th, I'm going to have another space album. I call this one Type 2 Civilization. It's got a cool album cover art of like a sun inside of, it's not like really a Dyson sphere, but it's almost like, if you know what that is, it's like a Type 2 or civilization would be harnessing every bit and piece of energy from a sun. So it kind of looks like that. It's kind of neat. But more importantly, that's like experimental / ambient beds that are like inspired by space. So that's forthcoming. And this is 3rd year in a row that I've been promising myself that I'm going to do some Christmas music, and I'm literally putting out like 4 or 6 weeks of time in the summer where I'm going to seriously devote to traditional Christmas music, specifically in multiple genres, and electronic genre, maybe metal one, maybe traditional. We'll see. I'm gonna play around with it, and I'm doing it early this year because, my God, the last 2 years I tried, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's July. I think I'll start doing some of the stuff with it, and then November shows up, and I'm like, it's too late. I can't. I can't promote this in November. Like, I gotta have these done, published, and ready to roll, so I can do some marketing and everything. And now that I do have somebody in marketing helping me out. Actually, this company called the Boss Agency out of Tampa, Florida. They are doing a wonderful job. They're getting set up and organized this past month. This first month we're working together, but then you're going to see a lot more content coming from me, a lot more on Instagram, a lot more on TikTok, a lot more on YouTube, and this podcast should get a little more regular as well. But again, I don't want to keep beating the same dead horse every week if I don't have anything to say. Originally, I thought every week would be good, but I guess it depends on whether I get some really good interviews or I get interviewed and I can take some of those pieces and put them into the podcast. I don't know. I've been told by numerous fans that they want to see some process content. So I may incorporate that into a podcast, maybe even a live stream, showing you me and in the thick of my creative process. I did a little one about 2-3 weeks ago on YouTube, and it was for the Lo-Fi album that just dropped on the 30th. That's Lo-Fi High Five. That's fun to say. You can say that 5 times fast. But I had one of the tunes on there that I was scrubbing through and making sure that the levels and everything were acceptable and what I wanted. And I gave people a little treat, a little view of that. And I was using Camtasia to capture it, but I think some of the frame rate was a little off. I think there's some visual artifacts on it. So, again, all this stuff is, par for the course, becoming more and more involved in content creation. You kind of have to try and error. So you're going to see some stuff with all that might not be the normal stuff that you see from me. There might be some experimentation. There might be some stuff that's a little glitchy. Another style of music I really like to do. But ultimately, it's all to gear me up to much more regular content creation and basically edutainment, a little entertainment, a little education on the industry and what's happening, a little entertainment of just, hey, I'm going to do this reaction video, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. So it promises to be really good, and I'm looking forward to seeing how people respond to it, especially with the marketing. I'll be reaching, my reach will be expanding multiple X's, and we'll see what people are looking for, and that'll actually determine what I'm focusing on next for albums. I mean, I do have a synthwave one in the works. I've got a project coming up with actually a project that's just finished, and also another potential project with Eric Michael Schrader. If you don't know who he is, he worked on the series Life Below Zero, and he did very well with that. He was there with them for several seasons, and he's got a recent movie that he's in post-production on that I did the score for, called Shoot the Guns 2, the sequel that needs no prequel. Look, it promises to be a rampant good time of your 80s style kind of shoot 'em up, goofy comedy type of thing. Really fun looking. I can't wait to see it finished, Eric. In addition to that, I've got a few things going with some other producers, so you'll see some more content surrounding those movies and when their release dates are. And some of those will feature a couple tracks from me as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. Oh, and currently, Thomas Edward Seymour and I have a documentary on North American films entitled American Expendables, and it's currently going through the film festival circuit, and we have been extremely happy with the reception on it so far. I think it has, if I'm not mistaken, like a 70 or 80% acceptance rate. So whether it's either won an award or it's been an official selection, which either one of those things, it's a huge shot in the arm. I mean, it's a great film, about 70 minutes long, and it talks about some of the lesser known action stars and heroes of the 80s and 90s, and how the video store era was really crucial for those folks in those films and in those series, and how we've kind of lost that ability now to make those kind of films and to bring some of those people into the limelight, because Hollywood's just in this weird place that it doesn't like to take risks, with the exception of A24 and Blumhouse Studios. Those two companies right now seem to have it going on when it comes to lower budget films, and they're very successful. I mean, Blumhouse, if you don't know, they're the ones behind Five Nights at Freddy's and also the Megan movie, that PG-13 horror film. Now, horror purists would probably say like a PG-13 is like horror light. But what's cool about it is that it does actually appeal to a larger audience, and they've been doing these films for like $12 or $14 million. And if you go out there and search for box office grosses, they've done like 5 and 10x of that in the theater. So I mean, these things are making money. You know, these big budget films in Hollywood that cost $200 million to make. I mean, I don't know if you understand, if anybody out there listening understands the whatchamacallit, the accounting and the financial background of a movie like that, but it literally has to make 2.5 times typically its initial budget in order to break even. And the reason for that is that there's a 50% revenue share with the movie theaters. So if your budget's 200, you got to make 4 to cover that. And then oftentimes on a big budget like that, there's about a 50% advertising budget to ramp up interest in the film. So it's not $100,000 or $100 million. That's 500. I mean, that's insane. $500 million. I mean, you think about the MCU and all those movies, it's just crazy. So no, just some of these independent films and some of these GoFundMes, they've been excellent sources for me to share my music on and get some exposure. So that Internet Movie Database, you know, the projects that I'm going to be on is going to explode over the next 2 to 5 years, because I really like supporting these guys that are out there just trying to tell their own unique story, not, you know, do these like the 7th remake of like Fantastic Four or some crazy just standard repeat in Hollywood. I just like the idea that people are coming out with new concepts and just taking some risk and self-funding or crowdfunding and, you know, sharing the wealth if it does well, and just keep making art, man. So very exciting stuff. So in short, just a quick update. I mean, most of this was about the YouTube Content ID thing, but I ended up ranting about other things that came into my mind, which is always the case. If you get me talking long enough, you ever meet me in person, that's kind of how I am. There's a lot of things in life that interest me. So, but first and foremost here is you know, what we're talking about, which is the catalog and how it can help you as a content creator, and also how I can protect it and protect you as you move forward with me creating content using my music as a sonic background. I hope to see you again. I look forward to seeing you again. on the Tim Kulig Free Music Podcast. We'll see you soon, guys.